told me, she said, Gwenby, nobody can follow you. Their eyes glaze over because you go into so many different arenas and everything like that. Talk about your alpha dominance. Feminism, you get it all over the place. If you can't, they're as bad as the men. The men, at least there's some sort of intellectual conversation going on there. The women are just cackling hens. And even the ones with the PhDs and the MBAs and everything like that, they don't get it. They just pass the test, and got the cushy jobs and worked their way up, schmoozed and cruised and everything like that. But that's why Trump won with the promise to drain the swamp, because we're filled with all of this cacophony and stupidity. So let's see where it was. And the service jobs, which most women hold, are the kind of jobs on the increase in our economy, not being downsized like the blue-collar jobs and the layer of middle management. These service jobs, I later learned, are now being contracted out, outsourced, put on a temporary or contingency basis without benefits or job security. Now this gets in to my beef and one of my lawsuits against the IMF. What they're doing, the problem is you have all of these old guard secretaries who have been there for 20, 30 years, who don't have any brains. They got their, jobs through cronyism and everything like that. But they kept on just because nobody gets fired. You cannot believe the quantity of idiots that are in these organizations because they've been there for decades. And so they are totally challenged by all of the IT and all of the different things. They don't understand a word about the ideas and the theories and the ideologies and everything like that. That's totally above their heads, which, they shouldn't be working there in the first place if they're not understanding this stuff. Literally, some of them I wouldn't even hire as my maid. So what they want to keep their jobs, so they get the bullying and all of that. This gets into with the Adrian Thapa, and that whole thing was just all about ICD secretaries keeping their job, the old guard. And what they do is they get rid of, and they don't let the young kids or the old ladies opting back in, which, God, I'm sitting on a $10 billion lawsuit on my Global Expats project. Do they really think I'm worried about a 5-figure salary? These people have no brains whatsoever. But so they get rid of, and so you have the contractuals. So a contractual can't stay for more than 4 years. They're automatically, ousted. And because to protect the jobs of the staffers who are totally incompetent. Until you get lawyers who wake up, ready to break up these mafia networks and these protection rackets in DC, it's a little bullshit. Now, downsizing had not yet hit the headlines in the 1994 elections. The angry white male had not yet surfaced. We saw it surface with Trump, and that's how he won. I feel a sense of urgent change required. 1981, she wrote this book originally. I guess she updated it then if this is talking about 1994. So anyway. Oh yeah, this was 97. Still that wouldn't have done 94. What I sense is the need for a paradigm shift beyond feminism, beyond sexual politics, beyond identity politics altogether. A new paradigm for women and men. Since then, the more I've thought about this and begun to try and make it happen, the more I realize a lot of other people from very different groups and political persuasions than mine are moving in the same direction. There's a mounting sense that the crisis we are now facing or denying cannot be solved in the same terms we use to conduct our personal, political, or business or family lives. They can no longer be seen in terms of gender. The old paradigm, still shaping our thinking, may keep us from seeing these problems for what they are, much less solving them. I'll come back to Betty Friedan later with this. Nobody's seeing anything because they're all, in their biases and their little ivory towers, and just meeting after meeting and conference after conference after conference, and they never get anything done. And she's talking about leadership. Let me read to you from Daniel Goleman, Emotional Intelligence. The leadership edge. Emotional competence is particularly central to leadership, a role whose essence is getting others to do their jobs more effectively. Interpersonal ineptitude in leaders lowers everyone's performance. It wastes time, creates acrimony, corrodes motivation and commitment, builds hostility and apathy. A leader's strength or weakness in emotional competence can be measured in the gain or loss to the organization of the fullest talents of those they manage. Most of our peoples are MBAs. They've learned the analytical tools. They don't know how to apply them, he observes. But when people come at them with all their fears and problems, they have to be able to take it in stride and take a global perspective. They have the technical tools, but they have to be able to seize the creative ideas or offer an actionable, practical path that will turn an idea into a useful product. Not being done. I don't care if the product is a political platform or a widget. The rule of thumb. In studying hundreds of companies, it became clear to me that the importance of emotional intelligence increases the higher you go in the organization. Well, unfortunately, it's you reached your level of incompetence type of thing. So they just put anybody who's incompetent and anybody who'll bow and scrape and yes, that's who gets put to the top. And you see sterilized stars like Namat Shafiq. Now she's at the London School of Economics. Before that, she was a couple of years at the English Central Bank. Then before that, she was at the IMF. She was the one with Sharmini Curry who started the Institute for Capacity Development. Now you gotta stop with all the academia and another school and another university. IMF University, remember how Trump's university was gone after for fraud? Same deal. And in fact, a lot of the universities, fraud, GW, oh my God, they're sitting on a hornet's nest. Guys, GW, any of you lawyers out there, GW, that's a lot of money. Lots of money. All I care about is jurisprudence. But I know you guys, all you care about is the money. Well, there's lots of money there. All of the lawyers are dropping the ball. So, just one cognitive ability distinguishes star performers from average. Pattern recognition, the big picture. Thinking that allows leaders to pick out the meaningful trends from the welter of information around them and to think strategically far into the future. I keep on going back to this, you guys. You gotta start looking at the big picture. You gotta start looking at the big picture instead of your little areas and fixating on irrelevant, aspects. You gotta go towards the relevant. You gotta see first the big picture, and then you trickle down. That where trickle down does work. These are then the secondary importance, third importance. Then we get down to the lower levels, and that's where you can start. But you gotta start from the top, the big picture, rather than all of these people cacophony at the bottom, trying to jump up to the top and want to be the big star. I mean, the worst thing in the world, I'll get into this with Lee Iacocca on leadership. The worst thing in the world is somebody who wants to be a leader. I mean, I'm constantly being put into the positions of leadership, and I'm constantly saying, no, people, no. Why? Because I know if I go in and do something, I make sure it's done from A to Z and you know, till eternity. I don't drop the ball. And if it takes me 24/7 for the past 12 years, well, that's what I do. You know, everybody's sitting around in their $1 million homes, you know, by rodent-infected places and everything like that, trying to save this town. They're really going to be upgraded without a paddle. All of these people, because they're producing absolutely nothing. So, big picture thinking that allows leaders to pick out the meaningful trends from the welter of information around them and to think strategically far into the future. God, people can't even think of the next week. But with one exception, intellectual or technical superiority played no role in leadership success. See, it's not your brains necessarily. You gotta also have some common sense. At the top executive levels, everyone needs cognitive skills to a certain extent, but being better at them does not make a star leader. Rather, emotional competence made the crucial difference between mediocre leaders and the best. The stars showed significantly greater strengths in a range of emotional competencies, among them influence, team leadership, political awareness, self-confidence, and achievement drive. On average, close to 90% of their success in leadership was attributable to emotional intelligence. To sum up, for star performance in all jobs, in every field, emotional competence is twice as important as purely cognitive abilities. For success at the highest levels in leadership positions, emotional competence accounts for virtually the entire advantage. Okay, I'm sorry, it's getting really hot in here. So I'm going to leave you all for today. And I'll get to the death of liberalism in my next presentation. But please do stay safe. And once again, wear your mask. See? You don't have to wear these stupid little ugly things. I mean, I've got even like the tie-dye from the 70s. This is not my exact favorite. This I really like. But, you know, please wear your masks. If we can stop transmitting, the numbers are spiking up and up and up and up. So please wear your masks. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.